What's up, music and sound family? It's Tim. Today I'm talking about the ST Modular Euphoria synthesizer. Let's check it out. This is the ST Modular Euphoria semi-modular DIY synthesizer. It was a kit I picked up from Thonk, I think, last year sometime. When it first came out, I bought it solely because I really liked the sound of it from the designer Stefan T, ST Modular, I think. Really like the sound of it from those videos. I like a good, challenging DIY kit as much as the next person. This one definitely tested my patience at times. It is a large panel. It is not normal Eurorack dimensions, so you do need to build a box for it if you're up for that. This is 3/4 plywoods with the routed edges and a panel on the bottom, which I'll talk about in a minute. But each section, each function has its own little circuit board on the back, which connects to a primary circuit board, which the panel connects to. Each one is a ton of surface mount components. There's a lot going on. There's a ton of connectors behind this, making the board sandwich that the panel sticks onto. There's a lot of LEDs and switches and buttons and sliders, and it was challenging to build. It was challenging to troubleshoot. I had a couple of mistakes originally, so I wasn't making any noises, and this, that, and the other thing. I still don't know if I have it calibrated properly because, frankly, using the manual and my oscilloscope, I was getting like really different values from what the manual said I would get. I didn't fuss with it too much. I just kind of set it to where I thought it sounded good, and off to the races. I haven't spent a ton of time with it. I did read the manual a couple of times, and I sort of understand some of the internal routing, some of the normal connections that's built into the board. You can patch a bunch of stuff, of course, because it's got regular 1/8" Eurorack jacks on it. But you can make noises with it right out of the gate without anything patched. 2 oscillators, 2 voltage generators. This one is generating 4 steps based upon what these knobs are set to. This is generating 5 steps based upon what these sliders are doing and which steps are turned on with these buttons here. And these buttons are triggering the envelope generator if plus envelope is turned on with this little red button here, if I recall. It has a 3rd oscillator that's you can put into the audible range, but other than that, you can use it to control other stuff. If I recall correctly, it is currently normal to control the pulse width of these 2, maybe? I forget. Right now, I just have the primary oscillator sounding because this knob controls the mix of oscillator 1, 2, and you can also add an external signal to the external input here. Each oscillator has, in addition to being able to control the pitches here, or the amounts of voltages here, I should say. You can have a rough coarse adjustment here with these sliders, and then finer coarse adjustment with these 2 knobs here, those 2 pots there. It's currently, it does have a reverb built into it and a function generator. The function generator can cycle slowly or quickly at different shapes based upon how you have the attack and decay settings. It kind of reminds me of that, what is that looping envelope generator kit from Synthrotech? I forget. There's like an MSR black and white paneled envelope generator that works similarly, which is cool. It has a reverb in it. I had the tank installed. I had it installed on a plywood panel on the back of this thing. I like the idea of being able to knock it and bang the springs against the tank to make a different sound. But while I was building the case, I had set this whole thing all assembled on like a weird angle and broken one of the capacitors off, unfortunately, for the reverb tank. So I had to switch the jumper over to use the digital reverb brick, which is something I bought sort of unnecessarily. Now, of course, I'm glad I have it because I don't feel like ordering just that capacitor from Mouser with the shipping and everything. So I just I changed the jumper to use just the brick. If you're going to build this, just be careful with the bill of materials. A lot of the stuff is either or, and if you just buy everything, just add it all to your cart, you're going to get some duplicate part options. For me, I bought the reverb tank and the brick, not realizing that it was an either or situation. So probably just a case of me not reading it carefully enough. So, exercise some caution when you're placing your order to buy all the parts. One thing I can't figure out is why these 2 lights are sort of semi-illuminated. I think you can see that on the camera, yeah. They're sort of semi-illuminated, which is a little weird. I don't know why. I think if I patch something in there, then it'll show whatever is patched into there, but I don't know why they're semi-illuminated. I couldn't get the fine pitch adjustment screw here on the secondary oscillator to do anything. And frankly, some of the waveforms sound really similar to each other, so I might have some more mistakes to fix. It's the kind of thing where I don't know if I want to know how this entire thing works really well. I think it'll prove to be fun just to have it make some crazy noises and turn those into other things to sample and do stuff with. It's definitely something you can play as a standalone instrument. I think much like the Buchla music easel was intended to be, like a standalone instrument. You can probably treat this way, but I don't know if I want to take the time to become a ST Modular Euphoria virtuoso by any means. So we'll see. I'm just going to fuss with it. We'll make some noises. I'll talk a little bit about what we're hearing. And maybe this will be useful for somebody who's considering building this pretty challenging kit. Right now it's not moving through the sequencer because the tempo knob is turned all the way down. It will cycle through, but it's super slow, super low tempo with it all the way counterclockwise. Neat feature, when there's nothing connected to the tempo CV, the tempo CV pot becomes a swing generator for the internal clock, which is a cool bit of circuit design. Maybe that's pretty common, but I hadn't seen that before, so I thought that was pretty sweet. Let's turn the tempo up. We're going to hear just the sub generator from the primary oscillator if all goes well. We'll give it a little envelope so we can hear it ring out just a touch. Another thing I'm finding is, and maybe there's probably a trim pot on the back, but there's not much of a like the attack and release are like really fine adjustments, right? If you move it a little bit, it moves a lot. There's probably a trimmer on the back I can fuss with, but I haven't taken the time to do so. Let's turn up the tempo and start the clock ticking, as it were. So you're currently hearing just that first step triggering the envelope generator here. What's interesting is if you open the envelope, it will play the subsequent steps because it's the envelope that's getting triggered, not like an internal VCA that's in the oscillator, right? So if I bring up the release time, but then I can set it to re-trigger the envelope. And this is currently going through these 4 steps of voltage amounts, which can act as transposes. If you set it to the middle setting, excuse me, and if I make some changes here, the middle setting on this 3-way toggle switch activates this advance button. So now I'm forcing it to go through each of these 4 transposition amounts that are controlling the sequential voltages generated by the 5-step generator, which are triggering the primary oscillator and the VCA over here, which is interesting. I'm going to set it to go through those steps automatically in sync with the 5-step generator. There's a jumper on the back that changes the division, the clock division. That's the fastest. Okay, I'll leave that alone. Now this is a low pass gate level on the primary oscillator. This is the amount of the low pass gate that's getting controlled by the envelope, although it's not really doing a hell of a lot. In this case, I don't know why that is. And we're just hearing that sub, right? And you can flip the octave here, which is a nice little trick. You can add some noise to it with the noise knob. Let's add some other sounds to it. This is either a triangle or sawtooth wave based upon where this pulse wave, which is controlled by this pulse width knob, or controlled by the tertiary oscillator, I believe, if I recall correctly. I'm not... Yeah, so now this is cycling through, this is doing different stuff to the pulse width of the primary oscillator. Sine wave that sort of sounds like a sine. There's probably another calibration I need to do to get that sounding better. And there's this timbre wave. If I turn the release all the way down and tighten the sound up, we're just hearing those two hits of the envelope getting triggered now, which is kind of neat. Let's slow it down to hear what the reverb sounds like. So that's the sound of the digital reverb. There's a feedback and a color control. The feedback does feed back into this sort of that's 100% wet. We'll turn the reverb all the way off and move on. It's like flipping into those weird noise hits every now and again. Again, I don't know why. I don't know if I care though. I think it's that kind of synth where it's like gonna do some goofy things that can be kind of fun. There's a way to calibrate the pitches, but again, I don't know if it's that kind of device for me. I don't know if I care that these have different pitch control amounts than these versus the primary and secondary oscillators, coarse and fine pitch adjustments. I'm not sure. Let's hear the second oscillator. Second oscillator has these two waves that you can fold against each other in here, a sine wave, a pulse wave, and a sub, and the same octave switch as the other. It does not have no noise. It has this tone knob, which it does like a sweep of the highs to lows, if I recall correctly. Let's hear what that sounds like. So we're just hearing the secondary oscillator. We might not hear anything because I have the low pass gate all the way closed, I think. Let's hear what we get. Yeah, I was right. Okay, so I'm going to open up the gate. It's just the sub generator. Add in some of the pulse wave. Here's that wave A. Adding in a little bit of sine. There's that tone knob. Interesting. I have this switch in the center position here. Don't know what that does. Ooh, that's fun. Exponential versus linear switch. Don't know what that is necessarily controlling. Oh, it's the frequency modulation. Okay, so it can be either exponential or a linear control. Maybe it's looking for an input. I don't know what that's normal to. Another thing, it would be helpful if I made like a cheat sheet of like what's normal to where. But again, I feel like this is more of a synthesizer of random discoveries than necessarily, oh yeah, I'm going to do this, this, and this because I want the sound. It might just be a really time-consuming to build noise-making play box, but that's fun too. Let's keep on trucking. I'm going to blend the two oscillators together. Now it does have pitch controls for each. I think if these tuning screws worked, I could, for instance, set all of these to like I could really tune. Something like that. You could probably do that without needing to have these so badly offset. Let's try it while we're here. I don't know. Oh, it's doing something now. That's cool. And not doing much. That's cool, okay. So before the primary oscillator screw wasn't working. The secondary oscillator screw is definitely not working, but that might be useful. Let's leave that alone. See if we can get some noises here that we like. Play with the swing. And of course it's semi-modular, so you can do things like control the low-pass gates with the function generator. That doesn't seem to be doing very much. There's a cycle and a range button here. Range, you can double or halve the speed of the attack and decay against each other, and cycle turns it on and off. Shape kind of bends changes the slew, I believe, which is the bend of that function's shape. So that's not doing much. Let's fuss with some other stuff here. I discovered today that if you set this to the middle position, it makes the tertiary oscillator, puts it in the audible range. It's got a coarse and a fine pitch adjustment. When it's in the other values, it is changing. It becomes an LFO. But it's not like terribly... I don't know, sometimes the outs and the ins like don't seem to do very much. So currently it's playing through all the steps because I took the envelope away. I decoupled the envelope from the trigger generators over here and then turn it back on. Let's hear it with a little bit of that reverb again. So the envelope amount sliders control the amount of the signal going through the VCA that is controlled by the envelope. Again, these controls are like real sensitive. nice little hit on it. That's a low and a high pass gate, or high versus a high and a low pass gate. And you can do things like, if we take the function generator, now it's controlling the mix level of the primary and secondary oscillators, which is kind of neat. And you can do things like multi-it. So if I send the function generator, use a shorty for that. Send the function generator to this buffered multiplier here. We can go out to that blend control, and we can also send it out to something like the FM, the frequency modulation control. And let's give it a little bit of signal through that TSR24. I forget what preset I have it set to. Let me look at what preset that is. This preset is called Rubbery, 4-phase chorus and a flanger. It's kind of fun. Again, I think this box is going to be full of surprises for me. Tempo all the way up, triggering everything. No reverb. No flanged signal coming from the TSR. Let's send the inverse of the function generator to now I just turned the oscillator mix knob all the way clockwise. You can still see it's pulsing because it's working against the value generated by the function generator. I sent the same value from the function generator to the inverse of the value from the function generator, rather, to the B fold control. And it's folding that wave in a weird kind of way. Yeah, it does some cool stuff. I'm going to pause it there. Camera battery's almost dead, but I'll come up and wrap up some thoughts. It's interesting. It's certainly not for everybody to build, but if you're into kind of a choose your own adventure style, not typical subtractive synthesis kind of synthesizer, or not a Moog style subtractive synthesizer rather, maybe this is for you. Yeah, hope you like the demo. I'll put some more music at the end of the video. Thanks for watching. Okay, batteries are charged. Let's make some music.